Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist for I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Saraland, Alabama, Parade First Team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and the agency owner of Portal Insurance in Mobile, Alabama. Please stand and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
I'm great, Scott. How are you today?
I am doing the best I have ever been. I'm excited to be here today. Guys, we have got a bang-up show for you today, and I hope you'll stick around and listen to all of it because it's a topic we have not discussed yet. I always get excited when Bradley books a guest to talk about something we have not yet discussed. And today we are honored to have a guest on that is going to do just that. So before we get started, though, let me talk a little bit about the mission of this podcast. The mission of this podcast is to help you insurance agents in any way we can. We want to cover different topics each week. And as Bradley and I like to talk about all the time, we want to give you 2 or 3 things that you can turn off the radio and go implement in your agencies. Rewards come from action, not discussion. Your challenge today from me, move the ball 1 step forward to greatness. Oh, I just came up with that, Bradley. I may have to put that on a T-shirt.
Oh, my gosh, that's good. Yeah.
Guys, I may have to put that on a T-shirt. That is just too good. I don't even know what I just said. It just came out. Move the ball 1 step closer to greatness. Yeah, I'm definitely putting that on a T-shirt. So, guys, before I want to go ahead and introduce our guest.
You can get that at www.movetheball1stepforward.greatness.com.
Absolutely. Guys, let me go ahead and introduce our guest.
/rocket fuel.
Let me introduce our guest today, and we'll go ahead and get started. She is originally from Rochester, New York. She currently lives in Uptown, Dallas, Texas. She studied at Rockport State University and has a degree in marketing and public relations. And at 18 years old, gosh, I love this so much. At 18 years old, started working for State Farm, I believe in Rochester. And since that time, has moved over and has started Uptown Marketing in March of 2019 to provide insurance agents with industry-leading digital marketing services. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound honor to introduce to the Insurance Guys podcast for the first time, Miss Martina Brugnoni. How are you, Martina?
Hi, guys. I'm good. I'm so excited to be on here.
I am more excited than you are. How about that?
Hey, by the way, movetheball1stepforward.com is available on GoDaddy for $11.99.
There you go, guys. There you go. Another one of Scott's hobbies is collecting URLs. So I may have to fire down on that today.
I tried to buy
I do the same thing.
Do you really?
I do. I get random ones sometimes just to have them.
What I like to do is I like to buy my competition's domains.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Scott is the owner of theinsuranceuber.com, and I tried to buy it off of him yesterday.
Yeah,
he came across the table like, don't you think you're going to pull the wool over my eyes?
He goes, Martina, let me tell you how he did it. Bradley's the king of this. He's sitting there drinking some water. He looks at me, just very nonchalant, almost like that. You know that somebody will say something to you, kind of, oh, by the way. He goes, hey, man. Mm-hmm. He goes, hey, man, you doing anything with that insuranceuber.com thing you got? I'm like, well, not right. Well, you want to sell it? I'm like, no.
See, my thought process was, and I shouldn't have said you want to sell it. My thought process was we could do something together with it, as in have like a third party.
So he didn't pitch it like this yesterday.
Yeah, you didn't pitch it right.
You want to sell it?
Well, during the process, my thought was like, well, he may want to sell it. Like, you never know.
Martina, I am proud to have you on this show today. Here's what I want to do.
Thank you.
I want you to climb in the passenger seat of my DeLorean, and I want you to go back in time for me, and let's talk about how you got started in the insurance industry space with State Farm, and then bring us up to today and tell us how you got started running an advertising firm agency as well.
All right, let's do it. So I've always been exposed to insurance. My dad was, or he still is, and honestly, I to this day don't know his exact job title. We used to call him a claims officer, which is obviously not a job, but he was a regional something in auto claims for State Farm. So we used to go like bring your daughter to work day. We were always in the office with all like the claims adjusters and whatnot. So when I was 18, for whatever reason, I think I just wanted to be in an office. So I remember asking him, like, I want to work for one of his good friends was a State Farm agent, Chris, in Rochester. So I remember it was like the end of my freshman year of college, or maybe it was beginning of my freshman year, whatever it was. But I was pretty much like, I'm going to call Chris and ask him for a job. And he's like, all right, go ahead. So I did. And he let me work basically on and off throughout my entire college time. I would, go on breaks. There were some time frames where, like, if my class schedule was right, I would work during the day. So I did that until I was about a year or two after college, did that. And when I was there, I did a lot of obviously sales, customer service, but I did a lot of like the marketing side of it because, social media was just getting to be big at that time. That makes me feel really old to say, but it was. And it was just becoming more common for businesses to start to use Facebook. So I remember creating the agency page and I would do all our posts, and then we did Twitter. Back then it was
What year was this?
God, this was 2009.
Do you remember? Gary Vaynerchuk said something the other day about, and it hit me when he said, like, do you remember back then having to convince companies to have a business Facebook page? Like now it's become, it's just like having a Google business. It's like the same thing. But I remember talking to other insurance agents and having to convince them to have a business page for their Facebook. And it's funny how things evolve like that. Now it's Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat and all that,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you say that because, believe it or not, there are still times where we have to convince somebody that it's important to have a business Facebook page. Right. Just very old school agents, that have never done it before, don't understand the value in it yet.
Well, and so I think it's probably shifted too from, I think most people who don't have a business Facebook page per se know they should get one, but it's either A, maybe they're worried about compliance, or B, they're just scared to jump off that cliff. I think now we're in a point to where they know they need it, but they maybe don't know how to get about it. It's just, there's a fear factor to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's like confused mind never buys type of thing. They don't know enough about it to make a jump on it.
Ooh, I got to write that down.
Yeah, write that one down.
www.confusedmindneverbuys.com.
Let's get that one too.
Never buy. All right, go ahead.
It's funny because they're long.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm on again?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So where was I now? So, okay, when was it that I decided to, okay, so then I started thinking, all right, I want to get more into marketing because I was really enjoying that side of it and wanted, to spend more time doing that. So my dad's other friend owned a marketing company in Rochester, so I started working there. And now I'm realizing I should thank my dad for all these opportunities and for having these good friends. But I started working at the marketing company, and I was there for probably about 5 years. And I started there, I was this assistant sales manager, and I would do like training and all that kind of stuff. And then it got to a certain point where I remember it was like a really slow sales day, and I kind of got frustrated with trying to train the sales reps and, motivate them. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to get on the phone and sell. So I did, and did really, really well. It was like a 2-day time frame I did this for. And I remember our CFO came up to me at the end of one of the days, and he was like, are you starting to do the math on what you'd be making if you were actually in sales? Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm starting to do the math on what we would be making if you were actually in sales too. Mm-hmm. So it just became kind of an easy transition. It was an easy decision. And then once I did that, I started working with State Farm agents because it was something that I knew. I had already been doing marketing for them for a while, but that's when I really started to teach myself about SEO and how that worked. Because obviously there was a foundation, learning from the company I was at about like the products, but I was able to learn how to take the same concepts and apply them to the insurance industry, because it's obviously a little bit different than a roofing contractor or something like that. So I was there for 5 years. So this past January 2019, I decided I wanted to get out of Rochester, which I've been saying for years and years and years, but just, for whatever reason, made the jump and did it. And then it was a few weeks after I moved down here in March that I said, you know what, I've also always wanted to own my own business. So now that I've done one crazy move like this, I'm going to do another. And I started Uptown Marketing.
And so when you first got to Dallas, Uptown Dallas, were you working for a State Farm agency down there, or did you just go down there and start opening up this marketing firm that you have?
No. So I actually worked remote for my old company for a couple weeks, but it was, I literally think it was maybe 2 weeks, and then kind of made the jump.
And it's one of those things, I have several friends that own advertising agencies. A lot of them are the more generalist, advertising agencies. And one thing that struck me about you when we initially talked a few months ago is every friend I have that runs an ad agency that's a generalist agency says if they could go back, they would be niche.
Right.
And every time I hear one of them say that, I think nobody really does that in insurance. And so that's when, you and I first started talking. That's what I liked about your business so much, is that, you're super niche, therefore you can be the best in the world at what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. I just think it's like work smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? It's the way to become an expert in something is just to really hone in and focus on one specific industry. And it's something that I've already known my entire life. So it just kind of makes sense.
Right.
And you probably get, from a consistency standpoint, you probably get a lot of the same questions, a lot, you see a lot of the same struggles, you see a lot of the same obstacles. So you kind of know what the game plan is before you even have the game plan.
Absolutely. It definitely helps.
So, Martina, since you've opened up in March of 2019 and you've niched the insurance business, it would seem to me like a no-brainer that you would work with State Farm agents because you've got so much experience in that world. And when you're with a captive carrier, I don't care which one you're with, you as an agent, employee, whatever it may be, you have a good flavor of that company and the culture and what it's like. And if you walk into a State Farm agency in Rochester and you walk into a State Farm agency in Dallas, you still get it. You know what they're doing every day, right? So have you focused primarily on State Farm agents, or is your firm just working specifically with insurance agents across the board there?
We are specific to State Farm. I think we have maybe a very small handful, maybe 3 independent agents.
Right.
But to me, it's just, I would rather know for a fact that I'm going to be able to do the best possible job for someone. And I don't necessarily know the ins and outs of an Allstate in the same way, or, you know what I mean? Independent's a little bit different because it's almost a little more generic, whereas Allstate, has totally different compliance restrictions that I'm not really aware of. So the captive carriers, I want to stick with State Farm.
Sure. I understand that.
And too, at the end of the day, we're all agents. We all have struggles. That's one thing that we've realized through this podcast, whether we talk to a State Farm, an Allstate, or an independent agent, it's all the same issues. It's just a matter of, it's a different version of that issue.
Right. You're exactly right. Yeah.
I have way more problems now as an independent than I had as a kid than I had as a captive, Right.
So Martina, let's get down to the nuts and bolts of this podcast today. So I'm speaking more to our listening audience today. What I want to challenge each of you to do is take out a sheet and paper, go stop your car if you're driving and don't want you to have a wreck or something like that, but stop your car, take out a pen and paper, and let's write down some actionable steps and specifically talk a little bit to insurance agents today about SEO and things that agents can do to improve. And I'll be honest with you, representing 250,000 insurance agents listening to this right now, I'm not sure we don't start with the word SEO. What does the word SEO mean? And then kind of work our way through some actionable steps that they can take to get better.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because SEO is one of those terms that a lot of people think they understand or know what it means when really they have no idea. So SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's the process of optimizing your website and the rest of your online presence in a way that's going to make a search engine prioritize it in the results, meaning show up higher on the first page.
Right.
So what's tricky about it for me in particular and our State Farm clients, and I mean, all states going to have similar restrictions, independent, depending, can also have these, is traditional SEO starts on your website. It's called on-page SEO. And that involves like doing coding and all that kind of thing on the back end that I have no idea how to do, nor do I ever want to learn how to do that, because it just seems crazy complicated. But that's traditional SEO. And a lot of times I'll have agents say to me, well, we can't do SEO. We can't do SEO. Well, that's not necessarily true, because there's a second way to do SEO, which is called off-page SEO. So that's basically saying, okay, everything besides your website, what can we do to help a search engine prioritize it in search results? And there's a lot of different things you can do. So that's another reason that this niche is so important, is because we have to learn and we have to understand how to work around not being able to do the traditional form of SEO, which is on the website itself. So when we're talking about tips for people to do, there's ways that you can influence SEO on your own. Of course, there's going to be certain things that you're going to want to have a company help you with. But one of the biggest things that people miss out on is the content that's on their website. Google reads your website, they scan it, they read every word on it. And it's not just the coding piece of it on the back end, it's the front end. What is the content on here? So they're trying to figure out a way. I mean, think about when we do a search on Google, how quick do the results come up?
Quick.
Very quick. So Google has to figure out a way to sift through the billions of pieces of information that are on the internet. Think about how much content is on the internet and how quick they decide what's the best match for my search. So if I type in insurance, how are they going to that quickly decide what's going to be the best result for me based on where I'm located, based on, a bunch of different factors.
Scott,
so the content.
Do you know where the best place to hide a dead body is?
Page 2 of Google.
Correct. Yeah. Or the first page of Bing.
Ooh, I've never heard that one. I like that one.
Sorry.
But no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, as consumers now, we just want what's quickest and what's easiest and what's right in front of our face. So if your agency is not right in front of someone's face, they're going to call somebody that is. So the website, the keywords that are on your website, you want to pay attention to. Now, I know that State Farm can go in. They have different systems that they can go in and change the content. One of the things that we do at Uptown is create content for you, help you, go onto your website and change it all. But whether it's an independent agent, whether it's an Allstate agent, I'm pretty sure Allstate, there is ways you can do this as well, change the content, but it's important to do it in the right way. A lot of times we'll see somebody has made the attempt to help the SEO on their website, and they'll have the word insurance listed out over and over and over again and a bunch of zip codes thrown in there. And it's not a natural way that a consumer would read and be able to get content. And Google's smarter than that now. They can see right through that, and they want to make sure. I mean, think about, as a consumer, we want the best result, right? Yeah. And Google wants to make sure they keep providing us with the best result. Otherwise, we're going to use a different search engine. So when they see stuff that they think is not necessarily going to be the best result, they'll keep it moving and pick somebody else. So it's called keyword stuffing. When you just shove a bunch of insurance related words on top of each other in your website, it doesn't make any sense. What you want to do is put those keywords in there, absolutely, but you want to almost tell a story with it and make it appear in more of a natural way than just listing them out over and over. That's a very common misconception that I see a lot.
I had a buddy send me another agent's microsite a couple of weeks ago, and the agent had put like every single little tiny community just like shoved it in there with the zip code, like Pritchard, Alabama Insurance 365 36611, like every single one.
Yeah.
And it was like we were just laughing. He sent it to me because he thought it looked weird and was funny, and I was like, well, Google's gonna think that's weird as well, and
Absolutely.
you would be better off picking one community and cultivating, curating content around that than just listing every dang thing under the sun.
So Martina, I've got a question related to what Bradley just said, and you may or may not know the answer to this. I don't know, but I have a Google business page for each of my 3 locations of my insurance agency. So should I keep 3 separate Google business pages, or would it be more advantageous for me to have one Google business page and have the multiple locations listed on that page? Do you know the answer to that?
I do. So Google My Business is all about local search. You want those businesses to appear in the map section. That's really the purpose of Google My Business. So I'm assuming they're all 3 different physical locations.
They are. Each one's probably 60 miles from each other.
Oh my gosh, then absolutely, definitely need to have them separate, because you want somebody searching near one of them to be able to find that one. If you were to take those 2 away, you're only really going to be able to show up close to the one, that you have the page for. So you definitely want to keep those individual.
So I guess the reason you would want to have one Google business page is if you had, like, say, a restaurant or even an insurance agency, but all of your locations were in a kind of the same proximity around a bigger city or something like that. It might be more advantageous to do it that way.
No, actually not even. Think about McDonald's or Starbucks. We have different physical locations because, again, part of the purpose of Google My Business is the maps. That's how we get our driving directions.
Right.
That's how we leave reviews. So if there's a Starbucks in West Village, Dallas, and I have a bad experience there and I go to leave a negative review, we wouldn't want that to affect the, Starbucks a couple miles down the road. So actually every physical location needs its own Google My Business address. Got you.
Okay. And does that help your SEO, having a Google My Business page? Is that one thing that can help you?
Absolutely. I mean, that is your SEO when it comes to Google. Because again, when we do a search and you see the map, you guys know what I'm talking about when I say the map, right?
Right.
If you click on that listing is your Google My Business listing. So you guys are familiar with looking at it from the back end where you log in, you can respond to reviews, you can change zip codes around, stuff like that. But the front end is really what everybody else sees. That is your SEO. And there's actually a page on Google. So if everyone's got their pens and paper and wants to write this down, type into Google, improve my local rank on Google.
Okay.
So that is a help page that back when I was at my old company and we were developing the SEO program for State Farm agents, we would use that page because who's going to tell us better what Google wants than Google themselves? They have a whole support.
Yeah, say it one more time. Improve my local what now?
Improve my local rank on Google.
On Google. So you have to type all that in, and then it will pop up a page that you can go to, and that page will start what? Giving you instructions on how to improve your local rank?
It does, yeah. So I feel like I have this page memorized. But yeah, make sure it says support.google.com, obviously a bunch of backslashes, but it's a Google article, and it'll touch on one of the first things it says is you can improve your local rank by using Google My Business. That's the first line on it. So it will kind of give you like a broad overview of what you need to do. Obviously there's a lot more to it. They're not going to give you all the secrets. And their algorithm, they keep confidential. They change it constantly. But what they do share is there's 3 main factors that they look at when they're deciding who they're going to show. The first one is location. So that's why having the physical location is so important to tie one to a business page. We want to make sure that we can get results that are close enough to us, not necessarily the closest, but close enough within a reasonable distance of our own physical location.
Right.
So the first one is location and distance. The second one is relevance. So when Google goes out, all over the internet and they check for all kinds of information. They obviously check your website, they check your directory listings, they check any articles written about you, everything. They're looking for relevant content. So if we go back to those keywords, when we're putting in insurance over and over, it's because we want to appear relevant for an insurance search, right? So that's really the purpose of keywords, is to build relevance and build relevant content, not just on your website, but all over the internet. And then the third one is prominence. So prominence is a bunch of different things go into prominence. It's your reputation. How long have you been in business? You know, a lot of times somebody will say, well, this older agent, you know, he doesn't write any business. Why is he showing up ahead of me on Google? Well, one thing that he's got is that he's been around a lot longer. So Google can trust his website more than they can trust one that's been around for a year or two.
Sure.
So prominence is that third one. Another thing that goes into prominence is online reviews and reputation. So that's where your Google reviews come in, your Yelp reviews, Facebook, all that good stuff.
Right. Now, in terms of SEO, obviously all this can help. What are some other things that you see insurance agents not doing that could improve their SEO in terms of just, you know, as Mike Stromso says, big door swing on little hinges? You know, you make a few tweaks here, you make a few tweaks there, all of a sudden you've kind of stepped up about 4 or 5 spots on the Google rankings.
Yeah, you know, one thing that's very underrated when it comes to SEO is social media use. So Facebook, you know, having a consistent, and when I say consistent, I don't mean just attaching, like I know State Farm uses Hearsay Social. I know there's, you know, other services like that post the generic post. Sure. But when you're active on Facebook, when you're engaging with people, you're responding to comments, when you have a consistent presence on Facebook, that helps Google a lot. Think about 2 of the biggest sites, obviously Google, but Facebook is right up there. So Facebook is a huge information send to Google. You know, Google checks Facebook with a very high authority compared to a lot of other different places. So that's something that I don't know that most people necessarily will tie together, because usually you think, you know, social media is very tied to just the site that you're on, but it's actually, you know, your social media use is going to be a big factor in your prominence score and your relevance score.
Well, and the thing is too, with generic content, whether it's Hearsay Social or, you know, maybe I think Hootsuite has a product now where they'll do generic content. There's a project I'm working on in the independent channel where we're creating something for agents to pull content from. It's checking the box and doing that is way better than not doing anything. Right. You know, I mean, if you're just not going to do, if you're just somebody that's like, look, I'm not going to do anything, I'm not creative, I think you need to try to create your own content. But if you're not going to do it, hire somebody to do it or sign up with one of these services. It's better than having absolutely nothing, you know.
Absolutely. It definitely is. I always would recommend, you know, if you are dead set on you're not going to be posting consistently, you don't want to have anyone in your office do it, then I definitely recommend checking that box rather than do nothing. But it goes a long way to even just have somebody in your office, you know, once a week do a post, once a week, twice a week, go on and engage with some people. You know, the agents that I work with that have a very big Facebook presence, they get business from Facebook all the time. And it's not from running ads. It's from, they just have such a big presence. Think about the difference between, like, so often everybody does direct mail. You know, everybody wants to do direct mail or does it for whatever reason, but compare it to Facebook, the amount of times that you check your mailbox or the amount of times you're on Facebook all day. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's insane. We're staring at Facebook almost all day long.
And one thing that, you know, as far as like being on social media, you know, me and my wife have had this conversation before. You know, I'm the kind of person, I'm going to check it 12 times a day. Mm-hmm. And that's me being concerned. That's me being bashful, because it's probably more than that. But I'm going to check it 12 times a day in a business sense. Mm-hmm. And my wife is a type of person, and I absolutely wish I was this type of person that she can go 18 hours without looking at it. Right. But I know the ebb and flow, and there's been opportunities that I've picked up because I'm on there and I'm searching. A lot of times I'm searching some of these community groups and looking for people saying, hey, anybody need an insurance agent? You know, or I need an insurance quote. And so by doing those kind of things, not only do you get those opportunities, but you kind of can feel the ebb and the flow. You know, one thing that struck me, I don't know if you picked up on this, but when we were up at VaynerMedia, Gary has about 5 people on his team, and their title is community management. And they're not replying to comments or anything like that, because he's very sharp on, he replies to all. If he replies, it's him. But they are looking, not only are they looking for opportunities for people who have maybe commented, and they can either take that and turn it to a piece of content, or somebody to schedule a call with, or somebody to reply with, but they're also like going and seeing what's trending and things like that to pick up the ebb and the flow of how things are going. So that's something that you can do as well for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say 100% of my marketing for Uptown is done on Facebook. And it's interesting because at my old company, because I used to do, similar things there, I had a non-compete. So I was never reaching out to my old clients. But the way the agreement worked out, if they reached out to me, then it was fine. Well, just by being friends on Facebook with all my old clients, having my business page on Facebook, I ended up getting a lot of those same clients because they just knew I was there. So Facebook is really just having people know you're there goes a very, very long way, a lot more than people realize. And especially once you get in and you're doing the engagement and, you're making yourself known, it's huge, and it's very undervalued, I think.
Maybe you just like a post. We just hired a new team member, a new agent at our office, and she's wanting to network with some realtors and lenders, and she has not done that before. And so she's not your typical insurance agent where, she's friends with every lender and realtor in town. But I told her, I was like, here's what you do. I said, you go on Facebook and you find every lender and every realtor, and I sent her a list of the top 10 lenders in our county, and you friend request them. And I was like, and you absolutely do not send them a direct message. Hey, Tom, you don't do that. I said, what you're going to do is you're going to go in, you're going to wait a couple of days after they accept your friend request, not immediately, and you're going to like a couple of their posts, comment, genuine comments like, you have such a beautiful family, or that's cool, I didn't know that. Genuine comments to the content that they're posting, and engage with them. And what's going to happen is that algorithm is then going to throw your post up in their feed. And then you kind of engage with them. And I told her 45 days, which may be a little bit extreme, but I told her, I said, about 45 days, then you're going to send the right hook. Then you're going to send the message of, hey, Tom, we've been engaging with each other. I would love to grab coffee. And just start. You're building a relationship with that person. You're not gonna walk into a bar and ask every guy in the bar out immediately. You know what I mean? You're not gonna go for the right hook. You're gonna build that relationship first. So anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I have my girls do the same thing on Facebook, just send friend requests. And then, when you do send a prospecting email, they recognize your name. They've already seen pictures of you. And then, the longer you're friends with people on Facebook, you genuinely become friends. You become, you're watching each other's lives. You're seeing people, go through things. You see people get married, have babies on social media, and you feel like you really are friends with them. So it does create that relationship. And it's cool that we can do that not in person anymore, because it allows us so much opportunity now.
So I've got another question for you, Martina. Google owns YouTube. Is that correct? Am I right about that? Google owns YouTube?
You are correct.
Okay.
You are correct.
The mothership.
Yeah. How does YouTube play into all this SEO stuff, or does it? I don't know.
That's a very one of those things where in other industries it's more important, whereas with insurance it's tricky. I mean, State Farm, it's not compliant to do any videos really.
Right.
I think, they're kind of adjusting that or making some exceptions to it. But for the most part, videos are non-compliant. So
as long as you don't talk about insurance.
or say State Farm, anything. But it's definitely very, very relevant. But at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, why I try to steer State Farm agents away from Twitter is because it's not where you need to be investing the time into, because it's very rare that somebody's going to click on a YouTube video of, an insurance agent talking, and you can get the same, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, but basically there's other other areas that you should be investing time in as an insurance agent. Now, if you're a different industry, it may make more sense. It may make more sense to build the videos, put them on YouTube, put them on your website. And like, there's ways to incorporate videos. It's not necessarily going to be you creating them and uploading them on YouTube, but for an insurance agent, like what we do with our directory listings, just to get the video content up there, because it is important, is we'll link out to State Farm's YouTube channel.
Yeah. Kind of a backlink.
Yeah, exactly. A backlink. Yep.
So what other areas, is there anything relevant to SEO that we need to talk about that could help these agents listening to our show right now that maybe they're like me, they don't know much about SEO, but they need to improve on it? Is there anything else they can do out there that you can think of that would help them?
Yeah, I would like to touch on reviews, because reviews are like, I tend to see a lot of either A, people doing too many too fast, or B, people not doing enough at all. So those are both problems. And again, it goes back to Google's smarter than we realize. They know if you tell your team everybody's going to get $10 for every review they get in this next week, well, they're going to go crazy. They're going to ask everybody, friends, family. They're just going to want that $10 per review. Those aren't genuine reviews of your business from happy customers. What you want to do is get a process in place, have tools that you can use that make it easy for customers to leave reviews, but make it genuine and make it at a time when it's organic and it's not, you just asking every single person go in and do it. If you have a really good conversation with somebody, train your team. If they have a really good conversation with somebody, definitely ask. Definitely. I mean, we have a text link that people can text out to their clients, email, stuff like that. But you really want it to be genuine.
There's a way for you to create a link, right, Martina, because what I see a lot of agents do, they're like, hey, leave us a review. Go to Google, type in John Smith State Farm. But there's a way for you to create a Bitly link for when they click on that link, it pops up and the 5 stars are already filled out, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So there's a Bitly link that's for texting. So either through SF Connect is their system, or, whatever, you can text it directly to someone. They click to it right from their phone and it'll bring them to the exact spot. There's also links that we'll put in an email signature. So either you can email it directly out to somebody, or just as you're going back and forth with somebody, they can click on it.
What's a Bitly?
Bitly is a link shortener. So instead of sending somebody a website URL that's like 18 pages long, you can paste it in Bitly and it'll shorten it.
How do you spell Bitly?
Bitly.
Oh, okay.
One thing that we've had a lot of success in getting some Google reviews at our agency, and my wife has as well, is we not only we ask for a review, but say, hey, will you leave me a 5-star review? And I think, and we've never gotten anybody that's done a 4. You know what I mean? Like, because what I hate when I see reviews and people are like, great service, awesome experience, Scott's great, 4 stars. Like,
yeah, that's so fun. Me and my boyfriend were talking about this the other day. It should just be like yes or no. You had a good experience or a bad experience, because the 2, 3, and 4. I mean, come on.
It's black and white. It's either 1 star or 5. Right. Like, you can't have a good experience and it be a 4-star. Right.
Exactly. It's like, how do we get the last star from them? And
it's always these dadgum people with the freaking local guide check mark by their name that are the ones that leave the 4 stars. It's like I can't leave you 4 stars or my 5 stars. It's coveted, that last star. Right. But anyway, by saying, hey, leave me a 5-star review, it either, I think maybe subconsciously the people who wouldn't leave 5 stars don't, and the people who are the type of people to leave a review, they kind of feel obligated to do 5 stars,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing too, where you can kind of sneak more SEO into the reviews, is having them mention what specific lines of insurance you helped with, or we're working on. Makes the relevance go up.
So I got a question for you. You talked about the reviews on Google need to be organic and genuine. They don't need to be too fast. Are you telling me that those reviews kind of need to be slow dripped into Google? Is like 1 or 2 a week is better than putting 15 reviews at one time on there?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Absolutely. That's usually I say 2 to 3 per month. If you're starting lower, then you want to maybe do 1 a week. Mm-hmm. But it's very hard to find 15 very, very happy, genuine customers in one day. And that's unfortunately a lot of times people say, well, yeah, I mean, we're almost at 200. And it's like, well, slow down a little bit because it has to be organic.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, just there's no way to game the system. You can't. There's not a hack.
Correct.
You know, you can't text 200 of your friends and think that that's going to make up for you not focusing on Google reviews.
Right.
You know, you just do it the right way.
Yeah.
You know?
Do it the right way. Exactly. That's a huge piece of advice. Is so often, like, there's so many companies that will guarantee this. Anytime somebody says guarantee, if they're talking about online marketing, you need to hang up the phone, because there are none. I wish there were, but there are not. You know, there's a formula and a process that typically works, but unfortunately the reality of the internet is that it's out of our control.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, completely.
So let's end the podcast today. I want to talk about reputation management. What happens when Bradley, besides absolutely losing his mind, what happens when he gets a bad review? And is there anything you can do, or is it best just to leave it there and respond to that review in a thoughtful, meaningful way? What's the deal there?
So you always want to respond to every review.
Right.
That's something that we do for our agents. If it's a good review, you know, we'll just write a nice little message. But a bad review, you want to actually look into the situation. Think about a bad review. If you respond to it in the right way, it can actually turn into an opportunity for you.
Yep.
If you just say, sorry, you had a bad experience, you know, better luck next time. What's better is, what we usually do is make our agents look into what happened. You know, look this person up in your system, talk to your team, figure out the situation.
Yep.
So when we respond, anybody that's looking at this negative review sees, you know, your side of the story and sees that it looks like you went above and beyond to actually address the real issue versus just saying, you know, sorry.
That's the first thing I look at when I'm looking at a business, is I go to the bad reviews and I see if they've responded and how they respond. Don't be a smart aleck. You know, genuinely respond.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, insurance agents are huge ego people. So a lot of times I have some guys that are like, can we respond this, and this? And I'm like, well, no, we can't swear back. We can't say this. We can't say that. But they just get so mad, and it's like, we got to calm down and respond in the right way.
And you can get I'm not saying that a 1-star review is bad. I mean, I think in some cases it may be a good thing. It shows that you're human, you know. But you can get them removed. I did get one removed about a year ago. And it was because the person used a pseudonym for their name. And I reported it to Google and said, hey, this is not a real client. It's not a real person. And they removed it in about a week. So you can get them removed.
They're tricky to get removed. They're getting tougher. I know Yelp, a lot of people struggle with, you know, A, their good reviews showing, and B, their bad reviews getting flagged and going away. They have a very, very tricky algorithm. But yeah, you can get them removed in the right circumstances.
If you don't buy Yelp's ads, they'll remove all your reviews.
I don't know I hate Yelp. But
me too.
Yeah.
So, Martina, before we leave today, I want you to do me a favor. If you're a State Farm agent out there and you're listening to this podcast,
or any agent,
or any independent agent, and you need some help with SEO and some other areas that you work in, how do they get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you?
So they can email me. So my email is martina@uptownmarketing.com. Our business Facebook page is just Uptown Marketing. My phone number is right on the business page, emails on the business page, and then our website, obviously, uptownmarketing.com.
Okay.
And if you guys, you know, want to reach out to us, we can put you in touch with her as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show today. Actually, I've written down just about every word that you said.
He's written down more. He writes. Scott's a note taker. You know, they talk about partnering up with people who are opposite of you. You know, when Scott and I go to a conference or we go to meet with an agent, I don't even take notes because I don't like taking notes. But I know he's got it, and he'll transcribe it because he's going to send it to his team, and he just loops me in that email.
Right.
But he's taken more notes, I think, in this podcast than he has at any of the other ones we've done today.
Oh, I'm glad.
Well,
I'm glad.
I just appreciate you being on here. Guys, listen, I'm going to close this thing out now. I'm going to say this. You need to get on the social media bandwagon, learn what works, learn what doesn't work, follow Martina's advice on trying to get yourself up in the Google rankings. What do people do when they look for insurance? Well, they go to they start that process by going to somewhere like Google or looking at a Facebook ad, and they start looking at your agency and looking into who you got on your team, and they start stalking you like a crazy ex-girlfriend does sometimes, or crazy ex-boyfriend. And so you got to be on there. The days of going and taking out your full page yellow page ad are over. And now it's getting on the social media platforms and making that happen, and it will improve the number of phone calls that come into your agency or to you as the agent. So it's very important to do. But get your ass out from behind that desk today and go out into the big bad world and sell insurance. Make money for your family, for your kids, for your wife, your husband, your parents that are struggling. Go make money for them. And write good business for the agencies that you represent, and write good business for the companies that you represent. Bradley Flowers, I love you.
Love you too, buddy. Thanks, Martina.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, anytime. I'll reach out to you later. We'll talk a little bit more. And guys, you are listening to the Insurance Guys podcast. We love you, and we'll see you back here real soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to the Insurance Guys podcast. If you need to know more about me or you need to get in touch with Scott, you can always reach me at theinsuranceguyonline.com or email me at iprotectins@gmail.com. And if you need to get in touch with Mr. Bradley Flowers, go to bradleyflowersinsurance.com or email him at bradley@saralandinsurance.com. Guys, we love you. Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to being with you again real soon on the next episode of The Insurance Guys. Take care.